Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Treen, and every week I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things intuition. Through personal stories, experiences, and practices, offering energetic reflections to help you discover, connect, and fully realize how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to September 2023. That is pretty wild. The last 4 months of the calendar year is here, otherwise known as, in some circles, a quarter, the last quarter of the year. And yeah, I'm so curious how you're feeling about it, because for me, I am feeling really good about it. I learned a lot of lessons over the summer, and I know it's technically not, or in the Northern Hemisphere at least, I know it technically hasn't moved into the next season, but yeah, I really feel like September is one of these months that will really help us use, for lack of a better word, all the resources that we gained. And that's materially, that's spiritually, that's all the resources that we remembered that we carry ourselves, that we already had. This is the month, it feels like, that we can really, where we can really understand how much we carry already, how much we have. If you listen to August, once we released that pressure off of our shoulders, and if this is your first time listening, hello, welcome again. And I hope that you are not carrying anything on your shoulders. And if you still are, that's okay. We're going into September. This is moving through this month. This can be one of those months, especially if you have kids, especially if you're a parent, if you're a teacher. Oh my goodness. This is a busy time. I don't understand because I don't have kids and I'm not a parent, but I definitely can imagine a little bit of the stress that you may be feeling. So if you are carrying some stress on your shoulders, maybe go back and listen to August, because there were some practices and ways to really check in and release that, or at least relieve a little bit of it. But before I jump into the full energy impressions, I wanted to share another lesson that I learned. And I say it like that because I'm always learning and relearning so many lessons that I really need to know so that I can take care of myself and everyone around me. Not the only caretaker, of course, but to really be there for people and be there for myself. And this lesson was learned through this energy impression episode, actually. So the end of August, last 2.5 weeks, I would say, 3 weeks, I was really busy. Gratefully, I was very busy in my business. I was busy socially. It was just one of those times, and maybe because of the timing of the year too, but I was definitely busier in my work than I had been. And I was loving it. And one of the things that I love about my work is it does light me up so much. With the intuitive energy work and healing that I offer, it's different with everyone, but I am always lit up afterwards. I never feel depleted. I always have a lot of energy after. Sometimes if I don't keep up with my practices as much as I should, which I spoke about in August, and I really should have known better, but these are the lessons we are meant to learn. If I don't keep up with the practices, then, and that's meditation, that's going to bed at the right time every night for me, getting enough sleep, being creative and not showing it to anyone, not producing anything, but just letting my creativity live through something. If I don't do that, then even though after my client sessions, I am not tired, the cumulative effect is I sometimes don't notice how much I need to recharge my energy. Because the work I do is energy work, I have to take care of my energy very deeply. I have to be super cognizant and conscious of how I am taking care of myself, which is such a blessing because for so much of my adult life, I was not taking care of myself and my energy. I didn't even know what it felt like to be grounded and full in my own energy so that I really felt calm and good and okay when I wasn't feeling good. All the things that we talk about here. So I was busy, 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 busy bee, and I was ready to record these energy impressions. And it was September 1st, and I sat down to record them, and nope, nope, it was not possible. Anything that I wanted to share felt forced. It was challenging to receive anything through my meditation. And right away, I was like, oh, right. I can't output anymore. This is an input time. This is a receiving time. I need to restore and recharge my energy. I just have to. And I was okay with that because normally I put out these episodes on either the last of the month of prior, the first or the second. And in my mind, that felt acceptable. As long as it's out by the second, no problem. So gave myself a break, relaxed. This is a holiday weekend, right? Labor Day in Canada where I live, and then also in the States. I don't live in the States, but Labor Day also in the States. And yeah, so I was like, good, okay, no problem. Hung out with my partner, went out for some good food, had fun, just relaxed, enjoyed my time. So then the second, Saturday, I worked out, did a little bit of admin work that I needed to do, but not too much because I knew, hey, I'm supposed to be kind of relaxing. I'll record the episode and then I'll putter around the house and figure out what else I want to do. So Saturday, I sit down, ready to go. I have because I always have a journal and I meditate and I really try to feel into what would be the best to offer through my voice, through my intuition to you so that you can receive more clarity from your own intuition and really help you navigate through the month with a little bit more ease. So I sit down and nope, nothing. Yeah, nope, nothing was coming. Nothing was coming. And I'll tell you what, I almost recorded it. I almost pushed through. I almost just did it with the minimal amount of kind of idea and inspiration that I had. I was like, you know what? I'm sure it'll work. Because in my mind, I kept saying to myself, well, it's the second. You have to put it out. You can't, it's the second. This is the last day that you are allowed to wait until. This is September energy impressions. You have to put it out at the beginning. And I sat and I felt into my heart and my body. And I really relearned, remembered that that is not the intention of this podcast or these energy impressions. It's not about bringing it to you when I know that I should, when I want to, because I should. And this is the rule I made for myself. That is not the intention that I want to bring with this podcast ever. Because the intention of this podcast is service, is to serve through my heart and my intuition and my voice, to serve you and your intuition and your heart and your voice. And what really is kind of my ego wanting to be good, a good podcaster, and put out the episode that needs to be put out on these dates. Unless something terrible happens, I will not waver. And that is not serving anyone. That's just serving some part of me that does not feel like they're good enough unless they check that piece of paper, check that box, whatever the analogy is about checking things off. So on the second, I was like, okay, I hear me, I hear it, I understand, I get it. I need to recharge. I need to restore my energy. Not today. So then yesterday, Sunday, okay, it's Sunday, it's the 3rd. See, I still didn't fully let go of that piece of me that really wanted to be the good podcaster. So I carved out a little bit of time in the afternoon. And I really thought to myself, well, I must be recharged by now. I must have restored my energy by now. Come on. I need to get this episode out. It's the 3rd already. And there it was. There it was. Still the intention of needing to do it because I wanted to do it and it had to happen the way I needed it to happen because I wanted to be the good podcaster. But no, I sat down and nothing. Nope, it wasn't the time. It just wasn't. And then I really felt a relaxation in my body. I felt my solar plexus unwind a bit. I felt my digestion going a little bit better. I felt embodied. I felt more in my body. So it took me 3 days to learn that lesson, which is one of the September impressions, is to connect to and pay attention to what our intentions are for what we're doing. And if that intention is about saving face or how you look to someone else or how you seem, or that if you don't do that thing that you normally do, it means that you are not something, then that is worth re-looking at. Because that intention isn't serving anyone. And if you just heard that meow, that was Bandit, my beautiful, beautiful cat. And he agrees. So a little preview before we jump into fully the energy impressions. Let's remember our intentions, the overarching theme of September. Connect back to, are you embodied in what you're doing? Or are you going at the things, needing to do the things, depleting yourself, doing things even though you have no energy for it because of what you think it'll mean if you don't? And it doesn't even have to be, diving deep into your mind and seeing your therapist and going into more of the psychoanalytic, psychotherapy part of it. What I mean energetically is give yourself a break. Release that pressure. Because that pressure that we can carry on our shoulders, on our backs, in our neck, that pressure can kind of sneak back up. When we feel like we've released it. Okay, we're relaxed. Oh, good. We've breathed and yeah, we're grounded. We're ready. Let's go. Is that pressure really gone? Or are you moving because that pressure is like, okay, well, maybe you've relaxed enough. Let's go. So something to think about. If that resonates with you, then that is a message for you to give yourself a break. So let's dive in. Let's dive in to September energy impressions because today was the day. Today was the day. Flowed very easily when I was connecting and kind of feeling into what we need to know about September that'll help us really feel more clarity and ease while we navigate through, as I said. So today was the day, but it was not lost on me that I had really surrendered to the fact that, well, maybe this doesn't come out for a few days. Maybe it's not until the end of the first week. So I'd really surrendered to it. So I didn't have full expectations when I sat down today. I thought, well, if it's today, then it will flow the way it does every other month. And it did. So yay. I'm glad I'm able to bring it to you. And yes, I am working on Labor Day, but it's work that I really enjoy doing. So I'm okay with it. And it's not that long, just an hour or so and a little bit more to get it up, but you know what I mean. So before I jump into September energy impressions, I do feel like maybe we need to connect to our breath just for a minute, not long at all, just for a minute. And you don't have to close your eyes. You can be driving, walking, whatever. But wherever you are, maybe take a nice breath in through your nose and let that breath out. And take another breath through your nose and let that breath out. And one final breath through your nose and let that breath out. All right. How was that? Did you need that? I always need it, and not in a, I need it, but yeah, I need it. Find the breath and just, come back to the present. All right. So speaking of the present, let's dive in fully to the September energy impressions. And I know I said it before, but I'll just remind you that these are really meant to inspire you to connect to something that maybe you're meant to pay attention to this month that will help you gain more clarity in many aspects of your life. So listen, see what connects, see what doesn't, take what you need, and leave the rest. So the main word, sometimes there's a word, sometimes something else, but the main word that we're really going to focus on is trust. Because right away, September feels like two dice or a pair of dice being rolled. That this month, we may be rolling the dice quite often. That we will have many choices to make. And those choices do not have, as always, any guarantee that we're choosing the right or the wrong way. But because we're going to have all of these opportunities to make a choice, to roll the dice, it's going to keep bringing us back to knowing when to trust, knowing when to trust our intuition, knowing when to trust someone else, knowing when to trust a choice, a decision, an idea, but knowing when to trust, and especially connected to our intuition, not only because this is intuitive seek, but because it really felt that way. That September is a time where we get to really look at, is this my intuition or is this my anxiety? Is this my intuition or is this my fear? Is this my intuition or is this my ego? How do you trust yourself? Not even how much, but how. How do you trust yourself? Where does your trust live in your body? What does it feel like when you trust yourself? Because if you know what it feels like when you trust yourself, then you know what it feels like to listen to your intuition. And if you know what it feels like to listen to your intuition, you know what it feels like for your intuition to speak. And you know what it feels like to connect to it. And then you know what your intuition feels like. So in this last quarter, this last chapter of 2023, starting now in September, what can you do to really trust yourself and see it in your actions? Because trust, the Latin root, is fid, which means faith. And how does that feel when I say that? That not only is it imperative to trust ourselves, to trust that we know what our intuition is pulling for us to do, is calling for us to do in the little moments and the big ones. How does it feel when I say that that really depends on how much faith you have in yourself? How much faith you have in the thing that is bigger than you. Whether that is God, the universe, however you want to put it. How much faith do you have that you, by making a decision based on your intuition, do you have the faith that regardless of the outcome, whether it's good or bad, will you be able to handle it? Will you be able to carry yourself through? And that's not all on your own. That also means having faith in yourself to reach out for support, to ask for help, to be able to receive help. So faith and trust, those are two words to keep coming back to in September. And that other way of looking at it too is, are you outsourcing your trust too much to somebody else? Are you putting too much faith in someone else rather than yourself? In that Latin root, just to kind of help you feel into it a little bit more, it's fid, F-I-D. And if you think of the popular name for a dog, Fido, that's why that name is there. Because it means the most faithful, loyal companion, the most trusted, the little Fido. But fid is also infidelity, confiding in someone. Something is confidential. So in September, it may be very, very helpful to look at your life, look at this last chapter of the year, depending on what your focus is, and feel into where or who or what in your life could maybe use more trust, more faith, and more care. It is very vulnerable to have faith and trust in ourselves, for sure, but also in others. You have to be okay with being wrong to trust yourself or that decision. You have to have enough faith in yourself through the bad choices, quote unquote, because we can always learn from everything, right? So, and that really reminds me of a big piece of trusting ourselves and having faith in ourselves, especially when we're, taking risks and rolling the dice and not sure exactly what's going to happen, which we never really do. But in September, it feels like, okay, we really may not. Because what can happen, it is that fear, that anxiety that comes can be, well, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? All the worries, all the concerns, all the outcomes of, well, what if that happens? Because that will not be good. Fill in the blanks. But how about we shift that energy? How about we shift the energy around those words? And we can shift it with a quick piece of grammar. Instead of a question mark over and over again after the what if we put an exclamation mark and a bunch of them? So instead of, well, what if? How about, well, what if? What if it works out? What if I do fill in the blank? What if it does fill in the blank? What if they do fill in the blank? What if it becomes fill in the blank? Because a part of really trusting ourselves and our intuition and what it's asking us to do and what we feel into the clarity of what our intuition is speaking is feeling what may happen, feeling it, not thinking about how and exactly every aspect of the end of that decision, like what it'll bring, but maybe really feeling into, okay, what if it works out? What if it actually works the way I want it to? What will that feel like? Because if you're anything like me, I change my mind. If you're a person, you probably do too. So if I'm wanting something to happen, that want can kind of change before it does happen. But if I connect to the feeling of what I want to happen, then I can recognize the feeling regardless of what really the outcome is or what the outcome really is. But to be able to connect to that feeling, you guessed it, we need to be grounded. We need to be able to feel connected from our mind to our heart, our body, our energy body, our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual body. All of that energy needs to be moving together. And the way to do that is to be grounded in your energy and to know what is yours and what isn't. And the way to do that, of course, the simple list way, go outside, take a walk, meditate, all the things. But really what that means is taking care in listening to your body and really reflecting on what you are doing, what you are using the energy of your body to do that is not really helping you. To not just do things out of habit or because it's always done that way. Just like with these energy impressions that I experienced for September. The only reason I was pushing myself to get it out on the 1st is because they're called September energy impressions. And I believed that it needed to go out right at the beginning of the month. But I gave myself a break because, as I said, that intention was not right. It was not serving anyone, especially me, and especially you. But the way to also, because sometimes people say, well, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to go outside. I don't have time to ground and check into my body. I'm doing 100 things, thinking about 100 things while doing 100 things. Yes, that is true. So, a way to help your energy be more embodied and more grounded is actually to periodically just keep these in your mind, around, keep these around you, is asking yourself, okay, where can I be more flexible this month? Because when you're more flexible, you're actually giving yourself a little bit more of a break. You're giving yourself a break so you don't break. That old adage of bend so you don't break. So where this month can you be more flexible? And that can be with your time, with people, with yourself. Like really trust how you receive that, how that feels. And also, where can you be more compassionate with yourself? Because if you're going to be more flexible, then we can sometimes be hard on ourselves for being flexible when we feel like we needed to be more strict. So be more compassionate. Give yourself more love, more understanding, more care. Treat yourself like the person you love the most. Not instead of, but also. And then the last thing to really remember when you don't have time to fully do those grounding practices and take care of your energy and all the things, well, one great way to do that is, where can you be more patient? Where can you be more patient with yourself? And where can you be more patient with others? So for September, I will, for myself, really check in and make sure through the month that I am trusting my intuition over my anxiety, over my fear, over my doubt, over my ego. And I am going to be checking in to make sure that I'm having that trust and that faith in my decisions, in my time, where I'm spending it, who I'm spending it with, what I'm doing, what I'm creating, when I'm resting, when I'm just hanging out. Because that's the last thing for September that really felt like I needed to share, especially just for one person that may need to hear this. Two. I'll say two because I needed to hear it. So anyone else that needs to hear this too, is that not every moment of our day or even a day out of the week, we don't always have to be pursuing evolution or development or some kind of thing to reach for in our spiritual life or in our work or in any aspect. Because when we're always moving forward and looking to the next thing and checking in and comparing to, well, I was here and now I'm here and this is that. And I knew this then, but now I don't know this and I learned this. And that can be all consuming. It can create kind of a tornado of thoughts and feelings and energy that is not allowing us to just live, to be. Because when I also forget that, hey, I'm supposed to just like have fun too. I'm pretty good at it because I purposely do it where I'm like, okay, end of the day, that's enough for today. Time to just like have fun. And in so many different ways, but as long as I'm amusing myself in different ways without any reason or end results, that's having fun for me. So the thing to remember, especially if you're on this journey of development, journey of healing, journey of really connecting with your own intuition and your energy and all the gifts that come with that. Part of healing to really keep in mind is that there's no end or fix or certificate or anything at the end of healing. There's no cure. The whole point, as far as I understand it, for me, in my experience as an energy healer, is that healing is acceptance. Accepting all those parts of you, all those parts that you hide or have hidden, that you forgot about, that are masked or really, really buried, that have never left you. But for some reason, it just did not feel safe to accept it. So that's something to also really pay attention to in September, is that the end goal, if there is one in healing, is accepting every part of you. And through September, maybe there will be points where you will be needing to accept a part of you that you don't want to, that doesn't feel good or like it will be accepted by others. Traditionally, I will say, energetically, why we don't accept those parts, because they don't feel like they will be accepted by anyone else. So we will definitely not accept it for ourselves. So in September, starting off this last 4-month journey of the year, how can you show that you are accepting more parts of yourself than you have before? And if you don't have an answer to that, that's okay. Because it may not come from your mind. Most likely it won't. It'll come from a decision or a choice that your heart or your intuition is calling for. And that will be part of the acceptance. Because you deserve it. You deserve to be accepted. You deserve to feel fully grounded and embodied in all of your beautiful energy. So in this fresh blush of September, what if you fully trusted yourself? What if you fully had faith in yourself? What if you fully accepted yourself? What if you were vulnerable enough because you trusted yourself and had enough faith in yourself to put faith and trust in someone else, to share and open up more of those pieces and parts of you that weren't accepted? Because the more you do, the more anchored into trusting you are. And then you can really trust where you can be more flexible, where you can be more compassionate, and where you can be more patient. Then you don't always have to be checking in with your intention. You don't always have to be checking in with other people about your decisions and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And a lot of the energy of that trust we can connect to through our solar plexus. So if you didn't do any energy work on your solar plexus, like on your own in August, it was something I spoke about in August in those energy impressions, then don't worry, because next week there will be a meditation on this feed where you will be able to receive some lovely healing to your solar plexus. But you can also go online, just Google exercises, stretches, anything for solar plexus healing, opening, recharging, restoring, rebalancing, any of those words. But really, just feeling into, 3 inches above your navel, right underneath your diaphragm. And just if it's super tight or hard for you to even kind of feel that area of your body, stretch back, open it up, arch your back a bit. Give that part of your energy, that part of your body, attention. And that will really help to support you to trust yourself more and have more faith in yourself and move through this month truly knowing when to trust, knowing when it's your intuition and not anxiety, knowing when it's intuition and not fear, knowing when it's intuition and not your ego. But I'm really excited for September. It feels like a pivotal month in putting all of those lessons that we learned over the past year, really putting them to use. But in a way that is so supportive, with a clarity that maybe you haven't had all year. That can come in September. That's what it feels like. So I hope that you can take a little bit of time to connect to yourself with these energy impressions, whatever feels inspiring to you. And I hope you can feel that excitement for the month and the next 4 months. Because I'm excited for you. I'm excited for me too. So thank you. Thank you for listening and being here and supporting me. And I am so, so, so grateful. And thank you also. I know that's a lot of thank yous, but please receive the thank yous. And thank you for listening always, but especially to this episode of Intuitive Seek. And I would love to hear if you resonated with the energy that I'm feeling for September. And if you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach out on my Instagram at treenlight.healing or on my website, treenlight.com. And you'll also find the link to sign up for my newsletter, which is not something that I send out, 5 times a week. It's usually only maybe 4 a month. And you won't want to miss it because I get the Lighthouse letter in there every 2 weeks. And that's an intuitive energy snapshot for the weeks ahead. And yeah, I just love doing it and I get beautiful feedback on it. So if you haven't, go check it out and sign up. Hugely appreciated if you subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel called to give a little bit of support, then sharing this episode with a friend really helps me a lot. And you can also leave a review. That would be amazing. So thank you again, but truly thank you. Be kind to yourself and I'll talk to you soon.
Hi, Auntie Mary. I just wanted to say something very, very mean.